Welcome back to Tipping Point. I'm your host, Kara McKinney. School administrators from coast to coast, well, they're at it again, finding crafty ways to get around bans on critical race theory. Take a listen.
Do you guys use Newsella? Do you guys have that?
We do have that.
I've had a conversation with Newsella on how we can bring some of that curriculum into our schools.
We've got a couple of teachers at the junior high, I think, that's using Newsella.
Newsella, I feel like, has the dimensions, and then there's the nuance.
I'm Adam Gillette with Accuracy in Media, and today I am sending you a warning. Over the last several months, Accuracy in Media has been conducting a hidden camera investigation across America into the teachings of critical race theory. While talking with administrators and quote-unquote equity officers, we discovered something very scary and for the most part hidden from legislators and even from parents. It's called Newsella.
There are some really great free history out there.
Right.
Because we like the 1619 project.
That is one that right now we're not using.
Really?
Because of
banned it.
There's just a lot of pushback on that, and so we've had to say
Can you
right now we
use
can't.
other sources that have the same concepts but not
Don't have that name?
We do,
Right.
and so like we have access to the company is called Newsella.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with it at all. And they pull, what I love is they just curate a ton of different articles from the Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, like kind of all over.
Yeah.
And then they rewrite it kid-friendly.
You may not have heard of Newsella, but don't sleep on this organization. They are a direct partner of the New York Times and their 1619 project. They're also a partner of the Southern Poverty Law Center and even Howard Zinn. Zinn famously wrote The People's History of the United States, a radically inaccurate, radically progressive retelling of American history. Newsella is a Trojan horse for critical race theory.
Do y'all use Newsella though?
Oh yeah.
Some of our English teachers do use Newsella.
Okay.
I think some of our social studies teachers have used it as well. There's some great.
Well, they partner with like the Southern Poverty Law Center, Howard Zinn.
Yes. Yes. Now, our teachers know that. They're not saying that out loud. Okay, does that make sense? Semantics.
Mom and Dad don't need to know that.
That newly released undercover video comes to us courtesy of our friends over at Accuracy in Media. So join us now to discuss is Adam Gillette himself, the president of Accuracy in Media. Adam, thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. So I know you've explained to us before, what exactly is Newsella? How does it work, at least inside the classroom?
Great question. Curated articles to share with their classrooms. Not all of it is political. They have a wide array of partners that they could pull articles from. And what their special sauce is, essentially, is they could take an article and change it for different reading levels. So if you've got an advanced reader in a class or a slower reader in the class, they can read the same article at different levels. But the thing is these administrators told us, Newsella partners with the 1619 Project, the Southern Poverty Law Center, other radicals. And if you're in a state where it's illegal to teach the 1619 Project, what we found is that teachers simply pull the Newsella version of that article and send it home to the students. Now, if you're a parent and you saw 1619 Project on your child's homework, you'd be outraged. But instead, they get pretty much the exact same content, and it says Newsella on the masthead, so parents are none the wiser.
And are you ever surprised at just how open, especially that last woman that we saw in that compilation, and how she said, haha, parents don't need to know. They're all just kind of laughing to each other about how they circumvent. Does that ever surprise you how just brazen they are with admitting to what's obvious, but you'd think they'd be a little more careful in lying about?
Well, you know, we've got skilled investigators who are great at earning the trust of these lying and deceptive administrators. I never stop being surprised by the endless game of whack-a-mole that parents have to play. If you ban critical race theory, they call it something else. If you ban the 1619 Project, they bring in pretty much the exact same content under the guise of Newsella. These teachers, these equity officers, these administrators work endlessly to stay one step ahead of the parents at every turn. It is further proof that the only real solution to this problem is universal school choice.
That it is, and also looking at some of the other partners that you guys have noted here, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Associated Press, the Guardian. I mean, really, it's the same old, Voices of a People's History, Human Rights Watch. I mean, do they have any partners who swing more to the right, or is it always just one way?
Yeah, they do definitely have some that are a little bit more center-right. Now, what it comes down to, though, is what articles are the teachers going to pull from? And rarely did I go into an administrator's office and they were talking about how Newsella was a great resource from which they could pull right-wing content. You know, you had that one administrator who mentioned the Wall Street Journal. I sincerely doubt she's pulling from the op-ed page of the Wall Street Journal, which obviously consistently leans conservative. Instead, as it has been explained to us, this simply serves as a way to get progressive content into the eyes and the minds of children without the parents knowing. Even the sample articles on their website are full of crazy far-left nonsense. They've got one piece on there about the history of the Black Panthers, where it puts out there an incredibly radically inaccurate telling of the Black Panthers and the violence that they sought to perpetrate upon Americans. Instead, it makes them seem like a nice, moderate, mainstream group.
And the way they get away with so much of this is they present it like it's just normal, that this is just the unbiased version of history. And of course, you and I both know that that's just a crock itself, but that's how they present it to students. So students, they hear stuff and they go to check it, and then again they see, and it's just left-wing propaganda talking points, but it's regurgitated to them from trusted individuals in their lives like teachers as, no, this is just the, consensus. This is the agreed upon view of things. This is the agreed upon version of history. Of course it's not, but that's how it's able to kind of worm its way. So as you said, school choice is what we need here, but in the short term, should parents be asking their schools, the teachers, the school districts about, is Newsella used? Is there a way to perhaps go after it there first before we can make some movement on the school choice end of things?
Well, you brought up a great point when you mentioned trust, because students trust their teachers. They trust that the history propagandizing their children. These administrators, these educators throughout the country have broken the trust with parents. Again, we don't go to Berkeley, California or Boulder, Colorado. Those teachers you saw, those administrators are in red districts in red states. Trust has been broken. And every parent I talk to thinks, well, I met my kid's administrator, they seem fine. I met those same administrators with a hidden camera, and they told me about how they lie to you. Parents need to be viewing homework assignments. They need to be viewing what their students are learning, what they're hearing, what they're reading, looking at things directly, checking the sources that are being used, because these administrators are devoted to pushing these radical ideas into the minds of your children.
Well, Adam, great work as always. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
And coming up.